Hi, I'm Donna Levy. I'm the Culinary Adventurist here at Catering Works, and I want to talk to you today about stocking your kitchens with utensils and small and large appliances, things that I think might be necessary to get you on the road to cooking well. The last video I did was about stocking your pantry. Now we're going to move on to the essential tools and equipment. So I'd like to start out with rubber spatulas. So I find it's best to have a couple of different sizes and a couple of different shapes, maybe ones that are just straight across, some that have curved edges. You always want to have multiples on hand because it always seems like you're reaching for one in your tool caddy and then you find out that they're all dirty in the sink. So it's easier to have a lot of multiples on hand for those. And a couple other items I'm going to talk about too, like wooden spoons. Once again, maybe some different sizes for your different jobs. And then we can move on to whisks. Whisks are super important. I like a good sturdy heavy duty one and then maybe a couple of smaller ones for smaller jobs. Tongs are good when you're working with your grill pan or if you're turning something in your frying pan. Once again, maybe a small pair and then a much larger pair for the bigger jobs. Box grater and a handheld grater are super important for grating cheeses or vegetables. And then I'm going to talk about a microplane too, which kind of looks like a wood rasp. They're super important. I love those. It's like my favorite tool in the kitchen. You can use it to grate spices or fresh ginger or even garlic cloves right into your dish. And then a can opener is essential, of course. A lot of cans today have the pull tabs, but there's still some that you'll need a can opener for. Vegetable peeler. Try it out in the store. Make sure it feels comfortable in your hand. Make sure your blade is sturdy and it doesn't look like it's going to bend too easily. A steamer basket is really great to have on hand. You can fit it right into a sauce pot and it'll make your life a whole lot easier. A citrus reamer or one of those citrus dishes that have the reamer into them. They're really handy. I have a wooden reamer. It's been with me for years. It's another one of my favorite gadgets. A couple of ladles on hand would be good to have, and a potato masher. And then we want to talk about knives. So I definitely say you need multiples of your knives. I would say a good 10-inch chef's knife and maybe another 8-inch chef's knife will work really well. You'll need to have a couple of paring knives on hand and a serrated knife too for bread or slicing tomatoes or for any delicate jobs. Measuring cups and spoons, and I know I've said this a couple times already, but multiples, because you hate when you're reaching for something and you find that it's in the sink, the dishwasher, it's dirty, you used it, and you're in the middle of your recipe and you don't want to stop to wash something. So I always say a couple of sets of spoons and a couple of sets of cups will work well. And for your measuring cups, you're going to want a dry set and a wet set. So a wet set will have the spout on it, and then the dry set looks like the little nesting kind that you typically see in the kitchen supply stores. And for your pastry tools, a rolling pin is super important for making pie pastry or rolling out cookies. A pastry brush is really good to have on hand, and a pastry cutter as well for cutting pie dough or cutting cookies too. And then for your larger tools, you definitely want to have some cutting boards on hand. And I definitely recommend a couple different ones and color code them to the job that you're doing. So have one specifically for vegetables and one specifically for meat, and then probably another one for fish as well. And then a fine mesh strainer, a colander for pasta, and definitely a mixing bowl set with 2 or 3 different size bowls to make your life a lot easier. And we can talk about small electrical appliances too, which I think are super important. Maybe a hand mixer if you're not into getting a big old KitchenAid, and an immersion blender is super handy too for if you're just blending something real quickly or you need to emulsify something like a salad dressing or a small batch of soup, something along those lines. And then for your larger electrical appliances, I would definitely say a high-speed blender is super important, and a food processor. And when you look at the food processors, find one that's going to fit your need. If you don't think you're going to drag it out a lot, then I would highly advise getting something on the smaller side. If you are a heavy-duty cook and you like to cook a lot and you find it a lot easier, go with something with a larger cup capacity. If it's something that is too much trouble, then you won't always take it out of your cabinet and then it'll just sit there and languish. You rather use your kitchen tools and get some use out of them. And then I say a toaster oven too, which is nice because you can use it to toast coconut or nuts, and it's great for reheating items that you don't want to heat your kitchen up for and by turning the oven on, like pizza. Pizza works great in the toaster oven. And then let's talk about your cookware. A good stainless steel cookware set is important. And then also some cast iron skillets work too. Maybe a 10-inch and then a larger 12-inch. And it's important to get something that is oven friendly, that can go right from your stovetop into your oven. It'll make your life a whole lot easier. A Dutch oven will work well if you're making large roasts, if you're browning roasts, or you're making soup or stocks, things like that. And then your bakeware. Baking sheets, of course, cookie sheets are very important. Cake pans, typically 9 inches is your standard size, but having an 8 or a 10-inch set on hand too won't be a bad idea. Muffin pans, a standard loaf pan, and a 9x13 baking dish or pan, and an 8x8 square baking dish or pan are super important too. So I hope you enjoyed my short little video. It gave you some tips on things to pick up to keep your kitchen well stocked. And join me for my next video. I hope to see you soon. Thanks, guys.